One's qualifying really well and one's getting a few wins. The other guy's not qualifying quite as well, but getting a lot of wins. And that's going to be interesting to see what happens with Mostert as he gets more and more experience in the car when he converts that blinding speed. And that shot that you saw there a moment ago was Tim Blanchard, on our reckoning, the only car in the field on the hard tyre at the moment.
David Reynolds, view from the roof from Hamburger Cam, a new introduction for 2015. Good crowd here, as we said. They love their motor racing, and over the years they've been treated to some great action. It does not get more perfect than that. Queensland shines. Here's the Fuso starting grid for race 20 of the championship. We are effectively at the halfway mark of the season. It's a lockout, those Pepsi Max cars on the front row. Row 2, all Red Bull Racing Australia. That's really encouraging for them. David Reynolds, remember, he's only 2 points shy of Chaz Mostert, who's currently third on the points ladder. Will Davison beside James Moffat. The boss of Nissan is here. Richard Emery, saw him a moment ago. Nick Percat there, that's terrific for Nick Percat, starting out of position 9. Fabian Coulthard. Will they roll the dice strategically, Brad Jones Racing, and do something like they did with that Freightliner car on the Saturday in Townsville? Maybe take a gamble that could pay off in some way down the track in this race. Todd Kelly beside Scott Pye. Holdsworth, he was frustrated when I saw him. He said, the car has balance. He said, I actually don't feel too bad at times, but I just cannot get it to yield a lap time. Shane Van Gisbergen, 23rd, alongside Blanchard, who we believe is the only runner to be starting this race on the hard rubber. And Tim Slade racked up his 200th championship start yesterday out of 25.
And it's his birthday tomorrow. 0.87 of a second is the margin from 1st to 25th after qualifying in this field. And if you look at the top 10 cars, it's 0.46 of a second. So if you were half a second off the money, which Rick Kelly was, he's 16th. So all it took was an eye blink.
Love your thoughts. Who do you think will win this one? Is it the domination, a continuance of that for the Pro Drive cars? Could we see a little something special from Scott McLaughlin? Awesome that this guy was on the podium yesterday.
Half a chance you're going to see something special from the Red Bull duo of Lowndes and Whincup this afternoon. Those guys have qualified very well. They've locked up row 2. We tend to be gravitating to the front of the field at the moment because of the recent strong performance of both Winterbottom and Mostert. But do not discount Lowndes or Whincup. Lowndes in particular has had extraordinary success here over many years. One of 2 drivers who's done all previous 18 events at this location since 1999. Garth Pander's the other. So Craig's good here. Jamie's no slouch either. He's got runs on the board.
Not square in the box.
And I reckon they've lifted their game
3,
substantially
2,
overnight.
1. Stop. Good luck.
So here we are on board with Mark Winterbottom. We'll get to see whether or not the rehearsal that he stepped us through on the start grid all works out perfectly.
Don't jinx him.
Well, no, he was the one that said it.
I know. He was excellent though, and has been.
Nice and easy. Keep coming. 3, 2, 1. Stop right there, mate. Stop right there. Perfect. Green flag, mate. Green flag. Green flag.
You can hear the intensity in the voice. The radio message to Shane Van Gisbergen. We are good to go in the final race of the weekend. The Coates Hire Ipswich SuperSprint. Will Frosty get the jump? Looks like it's been a good one from Mostert. They head to turn 1 for the first time. The Red Bull racers look hungry. Look at Whincup on the outside as they go through 1 for the first time. Whincup on those cold tyres. He's not ideally placed for turn 2 though, and he'll have to settle back into 3rd position.
Frosty put extra effort into making sure that he covered Craig Lowndes then on the run into turn 1. Courtney dropped the wheels off the edge of the exit curve at turn 2. Coulthard's up on the outside of Tander. They've had some rough ups over the years.
Reynolds looking close there. They get through turn 3. There's James Courtney off to the left. He's ahead now of the Volvo of Scotty McLaughlin. That's 13th place. Up to turns 4 and 5, the infield. Mostert has a break. 0.7 over Winterbottom. He's making a bolt here on cold tyres. There's the Jayco Nissan, Todd Kelly.
Looked like Mark Winterbottom got too much wheel spin in his launch, and then he spent a lot of time crabbing to the right, just trying to make sure that he covered the Red Bull cars but his teammate, well, we've been talking about the fact that there's question marks over his starts. Well, there's nothing wrong with that one. It was perfect. Dropped the clutch, minimal wheel spin, blazed down to turn one, and he's got a margin of nearly 1 second as we go back with McLaughlin here at the moment, who's currently 14th. Oh, look at that, Courtney. A little bit of muscle with Heimgartner, 3 wide into 2. That'll never work. Oh.
Heimgartner is the one to lose. There's some bodywork coming off. I think Scott Pye's car, maybe the 111 entering the Super Black race. And look at Courtney here. The HRT cars have started well here. Garth Tander is 9th. Courtney is 13th, but looking racy.
He's trying an under-over move there. James Courtney on Scotty McLaughlin, and it's still going on. Raging down to turn 4 now for the left-hander. Scotty's on the inside. We're riding with him. You might see a glimpse. You do see James Courtney tries the crisscross here as well. Look at him rattling on the rear bumper. That's a Holden signature, big time. He's gone underneath him. Now, he's got to be pretty careful there, James Courtney, because if that was a bump and run, race control could have something to say. He was on him all the way through turns 4 and 5.
Pye has to yield.
You don't want to be on the outside down there at turn 1. It's dirty, it's bumpy, and you fall off the edge of that curve that you see there. And there's another one coming up here at turn 10. There's a drop-off on the other side. Remember Finding Nemo? If you end up with a drop-off, you're in all sorts of strife.
Look at this, 3 wide almost. It's Moffat and Pye and Rick Kelly considering trying to get in there. Not quite close enough. McLaughlin ahead of them in the Wilson Security Volvo. Kelly looks good. Down into turn 3, keeps it shallow, keeps it tight, but he won't be in the ideal place for the mid part of the track. Turns 4 and 5.
Fastest lap of the race, Chaz Mostert. Moffat on the inside here of his boss, Rick Kelly. Scott Pye tucked in underneath, trying to grab a gain here while there's confusion amongst the traffic. We'll get a margin gap here on Mostert versus Winterbottom. Last lap through for Chaz Mostert was a 1 minute 10.5. For Frosty, it was 1 minute 10.6. He's opened the margin, 1.1 seconds. Look at the chase across the road here. Todd Kelly and Scott Pye edging him across to the inside of the road. Kelly's on the outside. Ash Walsh in here with Andre Heimgartner. And for the second time in 2 days, Todd Kelly finds himself crossed up at turn 1.
Ash Walsh making some ground. He's up into 18th position now, fighting there and gets ahead of Andre Heimgartner, who again runs wide in the Super Black Racer.
Andre's finding himself on the outside a lot down there at turn 2. It happened yesterday as well, and the field will box your ears when you're out there. He got a fair rough up yesterday where he qualified 3rd and ended up 15th in one of the races. And when you drop wide into that stuff on the outside that's got no grip, the whole pack will savage you. It's going on again at the moment. He's trying to go around the outside of Walsh here at 4. That's optimistic.
Walsh keeps it nice and tidy through the middle. Replay of the start. Bit of wheel spin from Frosty, and that's all it took. Mostert was good, and into the lead by 1.
Lowndes putting a huge amount of pressure on Jamie Whincup here at the moment. I just looked up out of the commentary box window. We're opposite turn 6, and he was looking to make a move up the inside. So got to get on with it because he's got David Reynolds right behind him as well. And Reynolds is threatening. 1.5 seconds Mostert to Winterbottom. He's continuing to march away at the moment. Lowndes looks like he might be getting out of the corners a little shallower here and there, so perhaps indicates he's got slightly better drive than Jamie. He does, and in fact, Jamie's given up the ghost. He stayed wide. So that was a critical move for Lowndes, who's got pace. Back to start replays now, and it was a bobbling start there for James Moffat, who had to kick the clutch a couple of times in order to get it to launch. This stuff down here was wild, wasn't it? Turn 2, 3 wide. Heimgartner, Courtney, McLaughlin, Pye, Moffat. equals paint and plastic.
Look at Heimgartner, he's just getting boxed around the ears, isn't he? When you're out wide like that, he's shown tremendous speed again this weekend. That third place in qualifying yesterday, a season best for the young Kiwi who continues to impress. Back to Scott Pye and the battle with Scott McLaughlin. We're also keeping a close eye on David Reynolds, who is getting close to Jamie Whincup. 22. He rubbed and rubbed the Volvo and moved past in the end.
I think he got his Christian and surname written on the back bumper of Scotty McLaughlin's car then. So moving up 5 spots in the field, Garth Tander. And moving down 6 spots because of that awkward start, James Moffat. Andre Heimgartner's gone down 7 spots. Here's the gap, first to second. It got out to 1.9 seconds on the last lap. It's stable on this lap. So Chaz has got about a 1/10 to a 1/10.5 margin on Mark Winterbottom per lap. That's a plus per lap at the moment.
Will Davis and Jason Bright, they're coming as well. They can see David Reynolds up the road ahead of them.
And in to the pit lane, Tim Blanchard from 25th position. Going on there for him now. Reynolds is starting to get close to the back of Whincup here.
We're just waiting on fuel to be clear to go, mate. Wheels are done. Get ready to go on the drop. Go, go, go.
Will Davison stalking David Reynolds nicely as well. This is the run up to turn 4. So Jamie's just allowed Craig to sneak on by and is able to now drive car number 1 at a better rhythm, not having to slide it quite so much, because all of the drivers are mindful of the fact that they'll recycle soft tyres for later in the race. If they punish them too hard too early, then you will pay a price later in the day.
Love listening to the Bottle Ford as it exited 6th there on the Dick Johnson straight, over the bumps and then into 1.
Last lap there for Reynolds was a 1:11 even, and Mostert, the leader, did a 10.7. He's got the margin sitting at 1.79 seconds at the moment, Mostert. David is 5.5 seconds from the lead of the race. And Heimgartner and Ash Walsh just lighting it all up here, down in 17th and, 18th and 19th position at the moment.
It's a continuation of that stoush. It's been going for a couple of laps now. Back with Mostert. 1.5 seconds between he and Winterbottom. You can see up the road ahead of you there. That looks like Tim Blanchard, who has rejoined the track after being the first of our drivers to pit in this 200-kilometre race. Fastest lap of the race so far also belongs to Mostert. 1:10.37.
Car 14, I think I heard Phil Keed suggesting to Fabian Coulthard to pit this lap. He's 11th at the moment between Caruso and Courtney, and in fact just wanders past the commentary box, so Fabian's in.
Guys, just having a look at the Red Bull cars here and talking to Roland Dane. See, Lownsy got some pretty good pace there, RD. Did Jamie sort of realise that and make it pretty easy for him?
Yeah, no, Jamie made it easy for him. He did the right thing, given the speed that he had. Yeah, we're 2 cars playing against at least 3 there, so we got to be smart as a team, and Jamie was smart.
How do you out-strategise the speed of the guys ahead of you?
Look, there's a long way to play out because we've only done 8 laps, so the performance can change relative to each other. We've got to see what the hard cars like and then what the softers are like again, as you know.
Good on you.
Thank you.
Roland not giving us an awful lot of strategic information as you'd expect there, but confirmation as Chaz goes down the inside of Tim Blanchard, who came in for a pit stop early off the hard tyre back onto the soft. Well, I presume it was the soft. The hard. So Roland just waiting and watching to see what everybody's got in terms of lap speed as they jump on and off their different tyres. But at the moment on the soft tyre, it's all about pro drive. Those guys are quick. 1:10.3, fast lap of the race. Heimgartner's in, by the way. Last lap for both Mostert and Winterbottom, a flat 1:11. They've flattened off their pace just in the last couple of laps. And Coulthard, if you remember my Armour All Tech Centre race fact story, then Coulthard is operating pretty much on the red strategy. And also pitting this lap is, I believe, car number 97, Shane van Gisbergen, from 21st position.
Market, please. Waiting for fuel. Go, go, go. Clear out. Away you go.
They didn't put a lot of fuel in Fabian's car either, so they've short-filled him, and he's just on the radio talking about too much understeer right at the moment. And in Mark Winterbottom, car number 5, has come to the pit lane as well. So they didn't put a huge amount of fuel in Fabian's car because they're looking to try and make track position, and they'll stand still longer in the race. Here's Frosty.
You talked at the beginning of the coverage about who will blink first in terms of our front runners. So Frosty is in here. Let's see how the Pepsi Max crew... Okay, in comes Shane van Gisbergen. Tim Slade also in.
Good work.
So there's the hards going on Frosty's car. Yellow on the sidewall. There's Slade in the background on the right-hand side of screen.
2. Leave it lane. There it goes. Go, 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 go. You're clear.
Pretty straightforward stop for those guys, and it looked like much the same there for Van Gisbergen.
Just keeping an eye on Fabian's progress, Neil. So here's the Freightliner Commodore. So Frosty rejoins. Fabs, now that he's settled in a little bit, not all that far behind him. Here comes Van Gisbergen, Heimgartner.
Yes, so it's about 55 odd litres of fuel for United E85 for Mark Winterbottom, 30 litres for Coulthard, so quite a number of seconds different, about 7 seconds different as Jason Bright peels in as well, Team BOC, and James Moffat. So a bit of activity here, quite a few people hubbing to that fill to finish strategy. The red strategy pointed out in the Armour All Tech Centre at the start of the broadcast. Nice and easy into the box.
About 13 seconds in the box here. Okay, we've got wheels on. Go, 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 go. Okay.
Smoke you can see from James' car is just hot brakes.
Go, 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 go.
Little bobble on the exit. Quite hard sometimes to get the cars away, particularly if you give them too much throttle percentage. They don't like it when the rev limiter is switched on. Sorry, the pit limiter is switched on.
Bright rejoins here ahead of his teammate in Coulthard, but Coulthard not on colder rubber. Let's have a look here at the stop for Moffat.
Yeah, so remember Jason Bright arrived, and I commented on how gentle and steady it was. Hitting the mark is really important. So James only overshot there by probably, in the old language, a foot, as both David Reynolds and Nick Percat come in, and also joined by Michael Caruso. It's happy hour in here at the moment. Scott McLaughlin in as well. So just arriving a couple of kilometres an hour too quick on the concrete, because the concrete's very slippery by comparison to the asphalt there, and everybody has to shuffle hoses. That was a nice arrival there for David. So Bright took on 40 litres of fuel, Coulthard 30. Van Gisbergen took on 40.
Go, 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 clear, go, go, go.
And they rejoin these four as they enter the lane. Meantime, Chas Mostert enjoys a 3.7-second lead over Craig Lowndes. Then it's Jamie Whincup, Will Davison, Garth Tander, and James Courtney. They're your top 6 as Reynolds rejoins.
Now, paying forward here, thinking about what this means. Those people that have stopped, like Bright, like Coulthard, like McLaughlin, like Reynolds, like Winterbottom, etc. As Mostert comes in now as well. That means that they're not taking too much life.
Push front bar 6. Also rear bar 8, please. Front bar 6, rear bar 8. Coming to the top of the marks. Anything else you need, buddy? No, mate, all good.
So Mostert on the radio, confirmation he's all happy. Then James Courtney, Todd Kelly in as well. They haven't taken too much life out of those soft tyres, so they've been in reasonable shape for the run at the end. Nice arrival there for Courtney.
Coming up on 5. Going to have a clear pit lane.
He was hard on the brakes.
Clear pit lane. Go, 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 go.
He was hard on the brakes at the commencement of the lane. Got a little squirrely, but he pulled it up nice and neat. So Mostert rejoins, and so does Courtney.
And you can see he's got plenty of fresh air over Mark Winterbottom. So a bit of a difference in the fuel strategies too. So Mostert took on about 45 litres and Winterbottom about 55 litres of fuel. So we need to watch the 10-litre difference a little bit later. Will Davison's just been called in as well. So remember, Coulthard's played into this, as has Courtney. Courtney took on 40 litres. So these guys have short filled. Lowndes is in now from the lead of the race, car 888. In the background, Will Davison confirming what I heard.
Yeah, I'll send you an update for the time. Once we get started, there's not too much around. There's 2 cars behind you. We should be clear of those, hopefully, by the time we get out.
Garth Tander's in as well.
Got you there, mate. Nice lead in here, please, and easy on this concrete.
Very gentle arrival for Tander. He's done it so many times before. He's made very good ground so far today.
The front of the car is clear. 6 seconds. 5. You're clear for now. 2 seconds. Clear. Clear. Clear.
They stuck a fair bit of fuel in Craig's car.
Hold hard. Portugal with the bottom on exit.
Very close. I think he's managed to split them. Yeah, he has. Tander's arriving right on top of Bright here. On a cold tyre, that'll be a battle for Garth when he gets down to turn 3. Jason knows that. So he'll try and slice him up by the time he gets down to turn 3 as Jamie Whincup reacts into the pit lane now as well. No, he wasn't close enough, Bright, so that's very quickly up to speed there for Garth Tander on a cold tyre. Pretty good performance.
Rick Kelly's coming to the lane, Ash Walsh and Dale Wood. So let's see what happens with Whincup here. Lowndes taking on a good dose of fuel. It's his teammate. Scott Pye leads the field at present.
Oh dear, that was awkward, wasn't it? See, that was a slight overshoot there. See the little black marks on the yellow line there? Just shows that Jamie was forward by probably 300 mil, maybe. And you can see how awkward it was for the refueler just to couple the dry brake. And initially, when it opened, when he cocked it on, it was cocked sideways and sprayed fuel. A little kerfuffle in the pit lane here on the right as well.
Just. Jamie gets out ahead of the Jack Daniels racer. So Pye by 3.5 seconds over Holdsworth. We're yet to see those guys move to come into the lane. Let's have a look at this again.
Yeah, see, unless you couple those on absolutely square, then that's the result. Dale Wood was the one that came out here, and that is going to be an unsafe release. So that'll be a penalty for car number 21. Meantime, out on track, turn 4, there's trouble here between Percat and Coulthard. So Nick is locked up and fired down the inside, made a bit of contact here.
Well, he signalled there, Fabian, on the replay. Percat to go to 11th.
Whoa, that wasn't in the script. Yeah, that's a bit strange, isn't it? So here's Lee Holdsworth. Car number 18, incidentally, his teammate for the Pertec Enduro Cup, Sebastian Bourdais, is racing IndyCar this weekend at Mid-Ohio, just outside Columbus, Ohio. He's qualified 3rd. He's already had 2 race victories in 2015, one at Milwaukee on the 1 mile oval and on the 2nd race at Detroit at Belle Isle. So he's getting lots of successful race miles under his belt, and we'll see him a bit later in the year come September, October.
In fact, he'll be doing a test with that team at Winton Raceway prior to the 500, so we can't wait for Bourdais to get back behind the wheel of a V8 supercar. Riding with David Reynolds, 5th on the road, behind Mark Winterbottom. Yet to see Scott Pye in the lane. In the DJR Team Penske number 17, he heads the field. For now, your effective leader is Chaz Mostert from Craig Lowndes and Mark Winterbottom.
So Scott Pye still out there leading the race at the moment, hasn't stopped on a soft tyre, so he's taking a lot of life out of those at the moment, isn't he?
Here he is in the midfield right now, Neil. Out of 3, heading toward...
No, leave it, leave it. Copy.
Yeah, so he's in this lap. But, yeah, a long way on those tyres. Remember I said at the top of the broadcast
for the final stop, mate.
that
Okay.
after about lap 20, in the initial blast on these tyres, they will begin to hurt. So this is well and truly as far as you want to take them. They recover very well in the curing process. A bit of damage down the left side of this car as well in all the rubbing that goes on at the start.
For the final stop, mate. Just give me that burst to the end, I think. They run the lose the time being hot and have the windows down. That's it. Nice and easy. Leave the car in neutral. Orange light off, blue Scotty. Tyres are clear this side. Spend another 8 seconds, leave the windscreen. Okay, mate, about 4 seconds. When you drop, you'll be good to go. You're clear.
So Mostert's now the leader of the race. 1 stop done. He took on 45 litres of fuel. He's leading Craig Lowndes. He took on 48 litres of fuel. There's 4.9 seconds, 5 seconds near enough between those two at the moment. Here's James Courtney on the right-hand side of screen, on board. James at the moment is behind Will Davison and just in front of Nick Percat. Another thing that we didn't get to fully expand on because there was a sudden flurry of activity in the pit lane was that Whincup's drifted down the order here, so he's currently sitting in 13th. If you're wondering why, it's because of the amount of fuel they took on. So they've taken the opportunity to have a big gulp early in the game here. They've taken on 87 litres of fuel, 23 seconds in the lane of fuel, and that means that they'll be able to top up pretty quickly to get the remainder to get them to the 120 litres when they come in for the second stop, Murph.
Yeah, Cromley wasn't the cleanest arrival. I think you guys may have seen that by Jamie Whincup, but he, as you know, 23 seconds he was sitting in the pit lane, took on a massive amount of fuel, so his stop by far will be the shortest out of the group. But at the moment, track position, he's fallen back a fair old way.
Yeah, so it's way more fuel than pretty much anybody. Caruso took on 60 litres. David Wall took on 78. Heimgartner took on 58 litres of fuel. These are all dead reckoning numbers, but because we don't actually look at their sight gauges. This is a great battle here between Caruso battling Coulthard. Now, these fellas are in a little scrap here for 10th and 11th.
Worth noting too, I think that Caruso's teammate James Moffat took on plenty of fuel, Neil. 70 litres by the look of it. The 99 currently down in 18th position. You're watching Fabian Coulthard leading this battle group here, and Fabian has the last spot in the 10. We go inside the Nissan Motorsport bunker.
That gives these fellows the opportunity that have taken on more fuel to stand still for a shorter period of time in the second stop. Now, well, there's always lots of questions. One of the big questions for me is how brave is everybody going to be and how far are they going to try and stretch a soft tyre at the end of the race? I begged somebody at the start to do something really different. If you were well out of sequence, Shane Van Gisbergen, for example, or Tim Slade, they had really difficult qualifying. I was hoping that someone might have tried to get away with a very different strategy. Fuel's only part of it, tyres the other half. That hasn't really happened. But of course, if the safety car, Lexus safety car, did jump onto the scene and you were on a good quality soft tyre at the end of the race, you'll look like Houdini. You'll just blaze out of trouble and straight up the sharp end of the field very smartly indeed.
So Mostert enjoying a 5.5 second lead over Craig Lowndes. Still got quite a way to go in this one, 44.5 laps. And there you go. This gives you an idea of the leader right through the field down to just beyond 10th position there. So Mostert now into turn 1, that healthy margin to Craig Lowndes, which is 5.6 seconds. And Mostert was 0.2 faster last time around. It's another 4 seconds back to Mark Winterbottom in 3rd place. cruising at the moment, just doing it nice and comfortably. Chaz Mostert.
And just slowly eking out that little margin nicely. Just gently. Let's enjoy a little ride here. We're on board with Rick Kelly. He's making the run towards the north out of 2 up to turn 3. Wind it up, settle back and enjoy the ride.
That's it, mate. Keep working on it. We've got up to 18 laps on these tyres, up to 18 laps, but keep pushing.
Awesome stuff to ride around here.
Pit lane drive-through penalty, car 21 unsafe release.
So that's Dale Wood. We talked about that before, that altercation in the lane as Ash Walsh was leaving as well. Neil mentioned safety cars there before. Since 2001, 27 races leading into this event. There were 18 individual safety car periods coming into this event. 44% chance at Queensland Raceway of a safety car.
Guys, just watching the Red Bull guys go to work. They are doing a huge amount of data collection here on the soft tyres that have come off both the 888 and the 1, measuring the depths, recording every bit of information that they can for use later on and prepare these soft tyres to go back on these cars. But a lot of beavering going on quite quickly, obviously, just in case the strategy changes.
Just looking at those numbers there, 2.6 and 2.5 mil. I don't know whose tyre that was. They start with about 3.3. This is Craig Lowndes on the hard tyre. He's punishing them. I think the word on the street is that was Jamie Whincup's tyre that we were looking at, so roughly 2.5 mil of tread depth. And there is Lowndes sliding off the edge of the road down there. You've got to be super careful of that curbing down there because it will damage the inside wall of the tyre. And there's the drive-through penalty for Dale Wood. Unsafe release as soon as he made contact in the pit lane. That's an automatic penalty. 6.3 seconds now the gap between Mostert and Lowndes. So we're in a slightly flat phase of this race where nobody can really do much at the moment. They're on the hard tyres. You can clearly see that Lowndes is pushing extremely hard, but it's not quick enough at the moment to match Mostert, who's got very good hard tyre speed. Garth Tander has been Mr. 200 in 2015. I keep ragging him about it, but he's been doing very, very well in these longer distance races. So he has moved up into 5th position in this race, and it just made a pile of positions, 9 of them.
Adrian Burgess, we're just speaking about your guys so far this year being the ones to watch on the Sunday, particularly in the longer races. They're kind of the movers and shakers so far in this race. There's still a long way to go, but definitely positive signs at the moment.
Oh yeah, look, we're not happy being the mover and a shaker because it means we're not starting in the right place. But yeah, I mean, again, we're suffering from not qualifying in the right place. We've got 2 great drivers. They're both trucking along very well at the moment. So still a long way to go. Hopefully we can get all the way to the front instead of one step off like we were last week.
Were your guys on a lighter fuel strategy for that first stop?
No, we got fuel in there.
Some.
Enough at this stage.
Thanks, Adrian.
Cromley, I'm just interested to get your thoughts, mate, but the way Chaz Mostert has done the job so far, he's got a good, decent lead, and the difference between the two, the car 6 and car 5 on the fuel dump, is quite minimal. So he is in a pretty good controlling position at the moment. I'd expect that he waits for Mark Winterbottom maybe to blink first on this one, being he's got a few seconds up his sleeve.
Mozzie's got to stand still a little bit longer in this second stop, Murphy. Took on 10 litres less than his teammate Mark Winterbottom, and they're currently 10 seconds apart on the road, first and third. But they've got good car pace. That's what's really helping them. It's giving them a bit of strategic flexibility. Lowndes is hanging in there, but just going back to the HRT remark there of Adrian Burgess, both Garth and James only took on 40 litres of fuel. So part of what's vaulted them up the field is the fact that they didn't hang around too long to grab too much fuel. But even on corrected order, they've still made genuine gains in their performance today. So they've definitely smartened the car up from one day to the next. But if you talk to Adrian midweek about this stuff, he'll tell you that they've just got to iron out the consistency and the qualifying performances.
Even in the early part of the race.
More fuel than us, buddy. He's not in our race. Just do what you can, buddy.
Even early on, Tander and Courtney did look quick.
That was a message to Scotty Pye about Jamie Whincup. Now, Pye grabbed 51 litres of fuel. Whincup took on 87 litres of fuel. And these fellas at the moment are 13th and 14th. They are quite a long way from the lead. They're 24 odd seconds.
Copy that, mate. The next 7 laps make or break our race.
Took on 51 litres or thereabouts at his stop. Scott Pye, you heard the radio chat there. The next 7 laps make or break our race. Marcus Ambrose to the right of your screen. He was in the car for some valuable co-driver laps on Friday. There was a purpose-built or a specific co-driver only session to start the weekend, and that was the first time we'd really heard him talking positively about being back in a V8 supercar, that he felt a little bit more comfortable.
Sharing a smile with Jeff Schwartz out there from Team Penske, who came out in the early part of this whole Penske operation. Jeff's vastly experienced. He's been involved for many years in IndyCar racing. He was involved in Penske's sports car operation as well, and then most recently in their NASCAR. Look at this. This looks pretty juicy too, doesn't it? So we've got McLaughlin and Coulthard getting stuck into it here at the moment. Scotty's just moved up a spot. Fabian's looking to find a way around. This is for 10th and 11th at the moment. Now we're just also creeping into the zone.
Right, buddy. Push hard, mate. Push hard. Use them up.
Where from a fuel standpoint, you could fill up and get home. But I wouldn't open the window to that problem at the moment, because I don't reckon you'll get there tyre-wise. So you need to just hang in for as long as you can and then gamble on what you think you might get away with on a recycled soft tyre.
That shot was pretty telling a moment ago. We saw the battle between Coulthard and Nick Percat not all that long ago when Fabian signalled him through. Percat has managed to well and truly clear Fabs, and now his countryman, the Kiwi McLaughlin, has moved by too.
What they really is try to put the brake bias forward. Still can't see any front locking. We're just going to have to manage the rear locking.
So I have to underdrive that much.
Phil Keating conversation with Fabian about what they can and can't get away with in terms of brake percentage front to rear. And then Fabian shot back saying, look, I've got to underdrive if I go with those settings. I can't push the car. So, I mean, he's just trying to make the most of a difficult situation this weekend. They've not been able to get the cars mapped to this track very well at all. And he can't sit still for too long. Sorry, distracted then by the action at turn 1 by Jason Bright. And he was distracted as well. He's currently in 6th, and his little elbows were working flat out to save himself through turn 1. So they're just not really in decent shape setup-wise at the moment with the Freightliner car. Ooh, look at this. He's very close to the side of him there, isn't he, Will Davison? But he needs to get a wriggle on if he's got anything left up his sleeve, Fabian Coulthard, because he's got Caruso, Whincup and Pye, and they look pretty urgent behind him at the moment.
That move, good one by Will Davison, took him to 6th position. Ahead of Jason Bright. In behind Bright is Courtney. Garth Tander, as we talked about before, still sits in 5th place. So the HRT cars, both in the top 8, but they didn't take on as much fuel as others. Now, here we go. HRT standing by for one of their drivers. Who will it be? Is it the 22? Courtney in the lane now.
So James has got to get 80 litres of fuel here.
Okay, mate. Clear run in. Swinging over the POC boom. Line yourself up
And,
with a hole. That's it, mate. Swing in, yep. Line yourself up.
So Whincup's only got a squirt of fuel. James has got a lot of fuel. So you expect to see car number 1
okay, mate. Fuel and tyres going
come
on.
out in front.
Okay, Dave, look your tyre. Don't worry about it.
Wait, you're clear, mate. You're clear. Derek, you have time to do a tear off? The drops, just narrow. Get off, quick. Come on, go.
33 litres of fuel to go into Wincup's car.
Go.
36 laps to go.
Did they had, I was going to say something's gone on there because he should be out there in front. They've had something delay them. Oh, yeah, we both did the same thing there. I thought, here we go. Now that's something is hooked up there. It's been a problem for Whincup. That should not have happened. And into the lane now, Winterbottom as well, and Reynolds. So let's just see front right's a drama. Wheel nut snagged. It's torqued up. There's different growth rates sometimes between the rims and the nut, or maybe the problem with the regulator or the bottle for them. They changed guns and were able to rectify the situation, but it cost a lot of time, unfortunately, for Whincup.
What a shame. Qualified on the second row today. Van Gisbergen comes into the lane now as we concentrate on Pepsi Max here.
That wasn't a good arrival for Frosty. See how he's overshot the black lines there as well. He's a good 300 plus mil. And they've made a little change to the blockers at the front there as well.
Leave it. Go.
So he overshot. His original arrival was very good. But that one was just slightly out of position. Somebody sounded like they had a broken header there as well. Or some of the other cars didn't sound good.
Here's Lowndes now.
Lowndes is in.
And Garth Tander in too, really late on the brakes on the entry to the lane. Look at the little puff of smoke there. That is as much as you want to get before you get it down to the limit.
Yep, good work.
Well, guys, that was a...
We're going to have a fair bit of time to do this on turbo, yeah? So let's just remain calm. Shady, I need you to go on turbo. You do the straight press, please go, man. I think you'll need doing.
Well, let's watch Craig Lowndes come in now. It was a bit of a mismatch of a pit stop for his teammate Jamie Whincup not long ago. The same gun on the right front is having trouble. They're having to go and have another crack at that, just like they did with Jamie Whincup. It cost him a lot of time. We know he had a very short fuel stop. They've managed to get this one done in time because Craig Lowndes has a lot more fuel to put on board. The soft tyres are on. But very costly for Jamie Whincup. Much tidier there because of the time they had for the fuel going in Craig Lowndes' car. But I was surprised about Jamie Whincup coming in when he did, Neil. That was an early call for those guys.
Yeah, they're asking a lot of those soft tyres, aren't they?
Absolutely. I mean, that's a long time. He's got a very full tank of fuel now on board, considering what he put in to start with. But they're asking a lot. And Mark Winterbottom also. He's come in. He's on the softs now. Now number 6, Chaz Mostert. The team are getting ready for him, so he has had to react to Mark Winterbottom.
So the short stationary time that we predicted for Whincup blew out the window when that front right snagged and they couldn't get it done. Caruso and Pye are in. Rick Kelly's come in as well. Shane Van Gisbergen on screen having a vigorous battle here with Todd Kelly.
Still leading by what is now 17.1 seconds over Will Davison, then Jason Bryant.
Hey guys, look at another 10 seconds. So just listen to my commander when you drop, Scotty. At this point, we should be good. Just holding the fuel. You're clear.
Nice job there for Shane Van Gisbergen.
Here comes Mostert.
Okay, the race leader is now in. He came in with 17 seconds in hand over Davison.
Chaz, we'll do a tear off here too, buddy. Do a tear off. Anything else you need?
No, mate, all good.
What did he say?
No, mate, all good. Same thing he said last time. Awesome.
Camo on the tear off. Nice bit of stuff, boys.
Must have grabbed 45 litres of fuel in the first stop.
Looked like James Moffat just pulled the car up. I don't know if he tagged his teammate Todd Kelly. It was close.
If he didn't, he went very close.
Boys. Coming on 5. We'll have a clear pit lane, Chaz. Clear as. And 1.
So 75 litres of fuel going into Mostert's car. Remember, he had a cushion, so there shouldn't be too much stress in this for him.
Start finish straight now. So he's still coming. He's probably about 2 seconds behind you. You've got fresher tyres than he does.
And that's the key line there. The fresher tyres and a little buffer as well. And Moffat has switched positions there with Todd Kelly.
He took on a lot of fuel, didn't he? 70 litres, I think, at the first stop, James Moffat, so that's probably helped him there. Maybe a shorter fill than the Jayco Altima, who gets out ahead of Lee Holdsworth there on the rejoin. Bright is the first car on the road for now.
To me, it was just a really clean, nice stop there for Chaz Mulch, that he's well in control of that one. Did a great job in those first couple of stints. Did you guys have to react, obviously, to Red Bull, and did you expect them to go first?
Look, we didn't really react to them because we had a decent buffer over them. I mean, obviously, they've got a lot more laps on their soft tyres, so hopefully that'll help us now. And it's better that we're a little bit more conservative when you've got a lead like that.
Chaz dominating from the start, and he fixed that problem that he's had. He's managed to then just whip away and control it, hasn't he?
Yeah, well, like I think I said earlier, we actually made another mechanical change to the car overnight just to try and get it a little bit better for him. And as he took off, he actually gave us a little woo over the radio, so he was happy.
Very good. Good luck, mate.
On board here with Chaz Mostert down at turn 3. So he's strolling along comfortably at the moment. They slightly overfilled him because he did have a buffer and he came out, as you said. When we talk about it like it's some big cruisy margin, it's still only a couple of seconds. Just goes to show that you cannot afford to make any mistakes. But younger tyres was the other key here for him relative to Craig Lowndes. But one of the things that we've been observing through the course of the weekend is just the way in which these cars have just generally been set up and behaving. Got a bit of split screen here for you to focus on. This is turn 1, looking from turn 2 at just the way the cars are sliding, their ride control, how they're handling the bumps. We like to keep an eye on these things because it's all part of a telling result in the end. Less evidence of roll for the PRA car for Chaz Mostert, but they're both, you can see, completely maxed out, sliding all the way to the edge of the ripple strip. So Bright in for his second and final stop, and here comes Tim Blanchard down the inside of Shane van Gisbergen.
At the moment, those guys are 24th and 25th. I mean, it's amazing to think, given the start of the year that Shane van Gisbergen had, that he would be in last place right now in this race. Cool Drive entry ahead of him. They've sampled a couple of drivers this weekend in Carl Reindler and the Dunlop Series racer Aaron Russell. They're in contention for the Enduro Drive there alongside Tim Blanchard. Rumours also of Jeroen Bleekemolen. And they're going to make a decision, we believe, very early this week, but they did say that at Winton as well. So fingers crossed LD Motorsport have that sorted. It will be the very experienced international in Oliver Gavin joining Nick Percat once again. They were a successful combo in the Enduros last year, I should say. That gives you an idea of the gaps. Reynolds' car looked like it was a little ragged off the final turn then. Dale Wood's car to the lane. Percat in an excellent 8th position. They've done a good job considering the day he had yesterday where that rear door was almost peeled open, peeled off. Tin can. But he's on course for another good result here, another top 10 performance. They had some exhaust issues and all sorts to contend with. That's very encouraging for Lucas Dumbrell Motorsport. There's his teammate Blanchard coming through now. It's a 2.4 second lead. Chaz Mostert over Craig Lowndes. And then a gap back, about a 6.1 second gap back to Mark Winterbottom. And then David Reynolds in the 55. Currently 4th. Excellent stuff from Tander and Courtney. Here we go. This puts it in perspective for you. Scott Pike, 13th for DJR Team Penske, and Bright has rejoined. You saw him pit there a moment ago in car 8. He is 12th.
Yeah, 3 10 right the miles to the last few laps. Good work. Look after our tyres.
On board with Dale Wood here. In fact, that's Percat's car. My apologies.
Long run here on soft tyres to lap 65. So everybody's going to have to tread very gently in these first few laps as they settle into using up these tyres now, because the last 10 is going to be very telling. Kelly's on the radio just saying that his car will not turn at the moment. He's in 17th. So it's a great little battle here. Good job, Nick Percat. Lucas Dumbrell Motorsport Entry, Repair Management Australia. Tucked right in behind the reigning champion and not showing any evidence of weakness, even by a millimetre. You know, absolutely matching him. In fact, could even be a fraction stronger.
Certainly looked like it on the run down to 6. Let's see what happens here, because Whincup's car ran a little bit wide out of turn 2. You're right in the 222 now. Down to 3. Look at him under brakes, Percat. Oh, not quite close enough, but gets very... Not much in it. That rear bumper. He was frustrated yesterday, Nick Percat. Sunday proving to be very, very different for the repair management racer, and so it is for the guys up in front of him, James Courtney and Garth Tander.
So meantime, at the front of the field, it's out to nearly 3 seconds now between Mostert and Lowndes. At Red Bull, they were hoping to get some of an undercut benefit, like I spoke about pre-race, for Craig Lowndes by coming in a couple of laps earlier, lap 31 versus 33, Lowndes versus Mostert. But long way to go for both of them on those soft tyres, and they just haven't been able to match the pace. Car 888 versus car 6.
Barry Hay, team manager here at Lucas Dumbrell Motorsport. After a tough day for Nick Percat and the whole crew yesterday with the door coming off, you're in a nice position at the moment.
Yeah, no, nice. We're desperate to have a good weekend, and I thought that was all gone out the door yesterday, or the door. Because once again, we run a 3-door car, so I just never see that happen so much. But qualifying, there's a lot of pressure on. Nick's probably one of the better qualifiers out there, and he pulled a lap out. And once you're in the top 15, you're in with race drivers that know how to race. So you're in better shape than the crash and bash boys down the back. So it's been good, and he's going strong at the moment. He's chasing down GT, so hopefully we get a result out of it and start our momentum going again.
Yeah, absolutely. Good luck.
Thank you.
This crowd, Brad Jones. It's been a pretty tough weekend here at BJR. Bridie, though, was good in qual, but he hasn't managed to be able to maintain that spot inside the 10.
Well, I think we got reasonable car speed. We did on the first two runs, but we threw the dice. I mean, everyone's doing similar sort of thing. I think it's still a long way to go, and then if you've got a bit of tyre left at the end of the race, you might be okay. So we sacrificed 4 or 5 positions to give him a bit more tyre life. So who knows? We'll see what happens at the end.
Well, it's good that someone is trying something. We've been looking, and certainly Neil was praying that someone would do it. We pretty much knew it'd be you.
Well, we'll see what happens. You know, it's a long way to go, and it's much easier to defend than attack, I reckon. But if the tyres are going off, we'll be okay.
About Fabian, he just seems to not quite be in the groove this weekend.
No, just I haven't got a car set up that he's been happy with the whole time, and I felt this morning we got a little bit more speed out of the car, but not enough. And you know, he's finding it hard where he currently is. His tyres are about the same age as Bridie, so he might go forward a little bit, but he's been in trouble all weekend.
Thanks, bro.
No worries.
Looked like a little bit of a lock break last time around, down to turn 6 for Jamie Whincup. That was encouraging for Nick Percat, and I tell you who's becoming a factor in that battle as well is Will Davison. He's currently in 9th place in car 9, but his lap times, the 2 previous laps have been fractionally, maybe a 10th or 2 quicker than the guys in front of him. Davison is coming in that battle.
One of the things that tends to happen here, and Brad just alluded to it a moment ago, is that if you end up with a setup that's just off the mark early in the weekend here, it's a racetrack that just keeps on punishing you. Sometimes it's just near impossible to climb out of it. That's what's been happening to Coulthard this weekend. We're now with McLaughlin in 10th, looking at Michael Caruso. Richard Holloway just encouraging to make some adjustments to the anti-roll bar control in the car. But the reason I wanted to raise that point is that it's not very often people do a big dig out. However, in the case of the Holden Racing team, where we see both Tander and Courtney 5th and 6th, they have done that. I mean, they really didn't qualify terribly well at all. They were well and truly out of the game. They've gone up 9 spots respectively in the race. They've got their fuel to the end. They're on their finishing tyres now. We'll see how it all plays out for them, but that's a big improvement.
The intriguing thing about that is how much less fuel they took on compared to others. At the first stop, they took on only about 40 litres, the pair of them, but it gave them a bit more track position perhaps. And they have raced hard from the outset, both car 2 and car 22. That's what I was talking about before. Look at that. Will Davison getting closer to Nick Percat, and Winkup's now found a little bit of room between he and the 222.
Nick was racing really hard about 2 or 3 laps ago, and he may have just hurt the tyres ever so gently. And you don't need to overreach too much to all of a sudden just take them out of the zone. And you can see that he's lost touch with Whincup just in the last couple of laps. It's all a relative term, by the way. It's only a few car lengths, but Will's definitely in the game here at the moment and could well grab him if he keeps up the current form. He's currently in 8th place per cat.
Scott Sinclair, it was more encouraging speed in qualifying on the hard tyre from Michael Caruso. Your boys probably in a bit further down the field than what you would have liked. People pitted probably earlier than what some would have expected. Do you think that caught people out a little bit?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's where we probably lost a few spots at the moment. Obviously, we're hoping that'll come back to us. But and Michael's got a bit of pace there at the moment. But Bridie's all over the back of him. But hopefully, we can hold on a bit better. Some of the leaders, yeah, they probably pitted earlier than we thought they would. So it'll be interesting to see if it comes back to us for sure.
It certainly is a long stint on those soft tyres.
It is, and you know, I think most people would have diagonaled them, the right front on the left rear, but still, I think they'll be screaming at the end of it, no doubt.
Thanks, Scotty.
Right, tough.
Ben Croak here at Erebus Motorsport. Davo doing a pretty good job. I noticed he's got a couple of laps advantage on those soft tyres over some of the guys ahead of him, hoping to use that to move up the field.
Yeah, I think we've shown throughout the year that we can hold on to our softs pretty good. We've got a couple of laps over some of the others, and I think you'll find, or you'll hope, that soon they'll start coming back to us and we can pick up a few places and finish in that middle of the top 10 there.
Yeah, I mean, maintaining, you know, quite a consistency around that level. I mean, you'd like to be a bit further through the front there, and obviously what happened to Ash yesterday was disappointing. He was inside the 10 and had that mechanical problem. So, you know, still those signs of being well inside the 10.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we had that period there, Tassie, Perth, and a couple of races around there where we kept getting 5th, 6th, 7th, and then we had the win. So we can keep chipping away in and around that middle of the top 10 there. I think we're not far away from another really good result.
Good on you, buddy.
Thanks, Murph.
There's 3 laps difference in favour of Will Davison's soft tyres here in this battle that he's got going with Nick Percat. Here's the battle between Caruso and Jason Bright. Just going back to that question that everybody up and down the lane will be asking at the moment of how far you can go on the soft tyre. At the sharp end of town, race leader Chaz Mostert, he's got to drag 32 laps out of those recycled softs. And in the case of Craig Lowndes, it's 34 laps.
Best of the Nissans is Michael Caruso, 11th. Moffat is 14th. The Kelly brothers are 16th and 17th respectively, with Todd ahead of Rick. We go back to Will Davison. Talked about that speed. He's going to get it done here on Nick Percat at turn 4. Car 9 moves through. That's for 8th position.
And Will only just got it turned and stopped, but it was almost, Will almost did to Nick what Nick did earlier on to Fabian. When the cars are very evenly matched. When the cars are so evenly matched,
another 20 laps to go here.
It's very, very difficult to be able to just sail on by. You've got to commit and in many cases overcommit on occasion, and That's what happens down there at turn 4. You kind of have to throw it down the inside and just wrestle it out the other. So it's not pretty. It's not about being on the nice, ideal racing line with your deerstalker cap, your cravat and your string-back gloves on, waving to the crowd. All beautiful race line.
You did that on a Sunday afternoon, don't you?
You just got to get a bit muscly down there and get on with it.
Set up out of 3, and that's exactly what Davison did. Perk out on the radio after this pass. Just a message from the team about how much longer we have to go in this race. Bright is getting aggressive as he chases Michael Caruso. The 23 is in 11th position. Ahead of them, Scott McLaughlin. Oh, Bright's going to do this here. Nice. So he picks up the spot. And McLaughlin will be his next target. McLaughlin is 10th.
There's an engineering debrief going on with Shane van Gisbergen at the moment as well. He's currently 24th. Came into the weekend in 9th position in the championship. Or came into today, I should say. But here he is. He's really battling, sliding the car all over the place. And Jeff's just asking him, is it behaving the same left to right? I didn't pick the answer up because the radio quality was quite poor out of his helmet, but that car is really struggling at the moment. Yeah, real shame. Difficult day yesterday. If you weren't with us during the coverage, they had a transmission failure on this car that left him stranded, ended up recording a did not finish result, and that's the worst thing that can happen to you in this game, where even when you finish down the order in 25th, you still get a nice little bundle of points. It just keeps you in the game, but when you get a duck, when you end up with a 0, that really hurts.
A couple of you have asked via social media, hashtag V8SC, about that retirement yesterday for Shane van Gisbergen, and many of you thought that, of course, Bathurst last year, the heartbreak he went through was the last retirement. In fact, he was classified a finisher there. The last proper DNF for van Gisbergen goes back to 2013 on the Gold Coast. So again, we saw vibration issues for him in Townsville. That's another struggle for the Kiwi this weekend.
Hey, this has been a weekend to forget for you guys. Obviously, yesterday with that diff failure or gearbox failure, how much has that hurt the information that you would have had to be able to be a bit further up the field today?
Obviously, we lost a full race on the soft tyre, so we have very little information. The tyres we ran in practice were pretty ragged, to be honest, and so we struggled there. So I haven't really got much to contribute to the viewers today, so have you got a question on geography?
Oh, I hadn't thought about one, but listen, I mean, Shane is battling. It's a challenge, obviously, as you say, losing all that time. I suppose if we want to look at something that might be a little raspberry on it, at least you're now going to have some soft tyres for the next race.
That is true, and hopefully we can enjoy a nice practice session with them.
Hey, Murph, before you disappear...
I think I've got a question from Neil, so I'll just listen what he's got to say.
Yeah, quick question, Murph. Steve last weekend was at Spa with Shane. He met up with his old McLaren teammate Dave Ryan, and he had a great weekend over there. Tell us about it.
Neil was just saying you had a trip to Spa last weekend with Shane and caught up with Dave Ryan, who runs Von Ryan Racing, that Shane's driving for on the McLaren. That would have been a pretty neat thing to get back with Dave. You spent so many years together at McLaren.
Yeah, 18 years in fact, so it was really great to catch up with him. It's a shame we had a problem in the race, but we were very quick, and it was just 24-hour racing is a lot of fun. It's long and hard, but it's a lot of fun.
There was a lot of challenging times throughout that as well. The weather at the start was unbelievable. I'm talking to Shane. It was a new challenge for him.
Well, yeah, what can you say? He demonstrated over there the sort of style that he has here in the wet. Everyone was very impressed. He's just, on a circuit like that in the rain, as I'm sure you know, it's just an awesome experience for a driver.
Hey, thanks, mate, for the update. Good on you.
Cheers.
They missed out on pole by the tiniest margin, started on the front row, made it to hour 11 before Shane got involved with a back marker who came at him from some strange angle on one of the corners at the bus stop there. But he was very competitive. Ultimately, the car didn't finish, which is a great shame. And this is an awkward moment between Walsh and Tim Blanchard down there, and it's tipped Ash off the road, sadly. He was been enjoying this weekend the benefits of the rookie day test that he was able to engage just in the recent past.
It's great to have Mitch Evans, GP2 driver, also managed and mentored by Australia's Mark Webber. You're here supporting your brother Simon Evans this weekend.
Yeah, it's great to be here. I've been here since I raced in Formula Ford back in 2009, so it's great to see, obviously, Simon race for the first time in Oz, but also to see a lot of my friends in the main game in the V8. So, yeah, I've really enjoyed my weekend, and it's good to be back in Oz.
You're on a bit of a break at the moment from the GP2 over in Europe. Your next race, I think, is in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, I've had a bit of a tough season so far, but at the moment we've got a bit of a break, and I got sparring about 3 weeks. So hopefully we can sort of get ourselves back on track and, you know, hopefully get a few more podiums and hopefully race wins by end of the season.
Good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you, cheers.
Huge talent. We wish him all the best. Saw him in deep conversation with Todd Kelly this morning, and I wondered what they were chatting about. And someone reminded me that Mitch, of course, had his first V8 test with Kelly Racing a few years back. So maybe in the years to come, he's got other things he wants to achieve right now in career terms. Love to see him in one of these at the mountain one time. That'd be awesome.
Be a culture shock after being in the GP2 car, though, so that may be a little way down the road for him, but a very accomplished driver. I think he's 9th in the GP2 Championship at the moment, and you know, he's got a lot of European experience. They're very, very quick cars, and hopefully when he gets to Spa in a few weeks after the European summer break that they're in at the moment, the sun shines there because it's notoriously ordinary, as Steve Hallam just explained a moment ago. So back to the focus of this race here in Ipswich, and we are riding at the moment with Jason Bright. He is in 11th position. That's Scotty McLaughlin just in front in position number 10. Percat in front of them, then Davison. Meantime, the gap first to second, Mostert to Lowndes, is opening up all the time. Only a tiny fraction, but it's out to 4.7 seconds.
Oh, look at this here. Bright on McLaughlin. And he'll have the inside running for turn 1. Nothing in it. Love the onboard. You're riding with him in car 8, the BOC entry, and it's done.
Yeah, so McLaughlin just recognised that he was toasted then, so he rolled out of it. In practice, I did a little bit of sleuthing, and I found out on Friday they ran out both sessions in car number 8. They ran it out of fuel in both sessions. I said to Bradley, if you needed a couple of extra bucks, I've got some coins in my pocket, and grab yourself an extra litre of United E85 next time you go to the Bowser.
And Bridie was gutted because he said I was on what would have been my lap on each occasion.
Yeah, but everybody says that.
Here we go, the Nissan family. So 99 is Moffat, the 23 is Caruso. Michael's not ideally placed here. This is better for Moff as they come through turns 4 and 5. And up ahead of them is Scott McLaughlin in 11th place. Just fighting a little on the exit of 5. Dale Wood. So back to this. This is Davison on Whincup. This is for 7th position. So again, the Erebus entry continuing this move forward. He's clear of Nick Percat and may be able to, judging by the pace we're seeing from the E63, he may be able to round up the champ here.
Penalty for car number 3 for that little incident that you saw a moment ago. Just been confirmed. Timing screen at race control. 4.6 seconds, just stabilising now Mostert to Lowndes. Got this feeling that we're going to see a lot of tapering in the lap speed performance of the soft tyres at the back end of this race. That is a huge ask for everybody to get onto them this early, which is now quite a long time ago.
We've got just in the Super Black pit here with Paul Radisich and Tony Leontino. Tony, great to see you race, mate. I know you've been through some challenges lately, but it must be awesome to be back at the racetrack here at Queensland Raceway.
Oh, absolutely. You know, after I've been a bit unwell and, you know, down in Melbourne's a bit cooler and coming into this beautiful sunshine, getting a bit of vitamin D. So really enjoying it. It's
going to be exciting, mate. Andre has been doing a great job. Yesterday was a highlight. Obviously, he's learning how tough it is in V8 supercars with some of the boys not playing too nice. But we're heading to Auckland soon for the ITM Auckland 500. It's going to be sensational, 6th to the 8th of November. And for you guys, home race, mate, I bet you can't wait.
Oh, absolutely. You know, there's a build-up to it and a couple of months away, and obviously the Enduros before, which we're really looking forward to it with that. But, you know, it's our home match and it should be huge.
Certainly will. Hey, Paul Radisich again, just highlight the job that Andre has been doing. And he's learning a lot. We know he's got the speed. He's now just got to sort of get those boys to respect him a little bit more on the track.
Well, you know what it's like, mate. You've got to earn your stripes, and it's tough for him. But I think every time he goes out, he learns something more. And the great part is he got the speed. We just got to get that consistent race thing going. It'll happen. Hopefully by the time we get to Pukekohe, it'll all start to gel.
Well, we know there's going to be some awesome support over there. It's been building, and we all can't wait to see what happens.
You bet. Thanks, buddy.
Interesting just looking at some of the battles going on out there at the moment, and there's a bit of junk on the road here.
A Holden badge or something, is it? What is that?
It is a Holden badge. Apologies to Simon McNamara,
yes,
who will say that's not junk at all. That's a high-quality badge, Neil. But he's the head of Holden Motorsport, by the way. But yeah, so these guys at the Holden Racing team are very closely matched at the moment. So positions 5 and 6. And 20 seconds from the lead of the race, but looking very competitive. And I made mention before that they both made 9 spots relative to qualifying. Jason Bright, we can see marching forward. He's got 4 laps younger tyres as Will Davison puts on a move with Jamie Whincup. They're mates, but they're testing the friendship there, or Will is at least, when he slides up the inside and rattles on the inside of Jamie's car. But we're just seeing variations at the moment in how the cars and the drivers are looking after their tyres. Starting to see a little bit of movement. So Bright's moved up into 9th position, and Moffat is now moved in front of Nick Percat as well. And I reckon that the way things look at the moment, lap speed-wise, there's half a chance to see Will Davison eventually successfully pull that move.
Do you reckon that Courtney has Tander's measure, or is Tander right to the end of the race? We've got 10 laps to go. Remember, Courtney came on strong toward the end of the 200 Ks on Sunday in Townsville. That'll be fresh in Garth's mind, and he will fight hard here. Tander is in 5th place. We go back to Davison as he continues to chase his friend, Jamie Whincup, in 7th.
And their first and second stops were only a lap apart, Garth and James, so they're pretty much on the exact same strategy. So they're duking it out. Here we go, move down the inside here for Will Davison. This time he's got it. Can he control the mid-corner? Jamie goes for the crisscross. Great stuff. So it looks like Will's been able to hang in there and make that one work. Jamie's going to hang tough on the outside here. And if he could stay there, he's got a nice big Holden block that he can... That's what he's trying to... Oh, he's in the weeds. Jamie, he's motocrossing out there. If he can stay there, which was a pretty crazy statement on my part, then it gives him the inside run for turn 6. But the problem is when you're out there at turn 5, as you just saw the marbles, the amount of dust and rubber build up on the outside is extreme. That'll hurt Jamie for the next half a lap.
Feel for him, given the pit stop, Neil, the drama with that.
1.3 to car behind. I thought.
Eyes forward, the word from Mark Dutton, but that right front issue in that pit stop really hurt.
Check it out. So this is turn 4. Jamie's trying to just stay there. If he could just eke it forward by a metre or 2, he'd make life hard for Will, but he can't. Now he's in no man's land. He turns in. They're not touching, but look at all the junk on the road where Jamie was. Dirt, rubber, rocks, you name it. Here's the view from on top. Filthy on the outside. Cannot touch the throttle there, and then a bit of a rooster tail, gather it up, and away we go. David Reynolds here, 4th. We haven't seen a lot of him today. It's because he's just been quietly achieving.
Hey, Rod Nash, just Neil just said there's David Reynolds on screen at the moment. He's just been quietly achieving. He's been quietly achieving quite a lot so far this year. We know there's been pressure put on him about the seat for 2016. Is he doing anything wrong at the moment, though, to miss out?
No, he's certainly turned into Mr. Consistency at the moment. And look, like all of us, we need a little bit of a shove every now and again. But look, that's well behind us. You know, he's been stepped into the car this year and just from the Grand Prix, just done a great job. Mr. Consistent and quite reliable out there, punching away. And, yeah, it looks like he's just cruising along.
I mean, the car has suited, as you said, you know, he's been in struggle street a little bit over the last little while, but he's climbed aboard the FGX and it seems to suit his style.
Yeah, absolutely. But, I mean, he's just, along with the rest of the team, you know, all 4 cars, you know, just nice, consistent. They're all working very well together. And that's like anything, you know, you got to line all your ducks up and you know, well-oiled you know, can at the end of the day, and they're all contributing to each other really, and so they just sort of swap around at the moment, and you know, just out there collecting points. I suppose that's one of the strong points at the moment throughout the whole of PRA. We're just managing to just collect points, and as each one does, it just keeps you up the top.
We'll watch the space and an announcement about Dave coming up soon.
Thanks, mate.
Last 5 races for David Reynolds. Hidden Valley, the last race, he was the winner, and we're looking here at Super Cheap laying up for Tim. He was second in Townsville, then third on day 2. Then yesterday he grabbed a 7th and a 4th. He's 4th out there at the moment, David Reynolds. He's never had a podium at Queensland Raceway. If anyone slips up in front of him at the moment, Mostert, Lowndes or Winterbottom, he could be there. Meantime, nice little battle brewing here at the present time, involving car number 17, Scotty Pye, Fabian Coulthard, Todd Kelly. 14, 15, 16, these fellas.
6.5 laps to go. There was a quick look at the point standings. If things were to finish the way they currently are on track, that's an amazing number to think that Jamie Whincup will trail Mark Winterbottom by 483 points heading into the next event, the SuperSprint at Eastern Creek, or Sydney Motorsport Park, I should say. Old habits there. So here you go, 483 points. Whincup trailing our championship leader by, ahead of Sydney Motorsport Park and then the Enduros. That's a big number.
Yeah, but I said it at the very top of the show when we're on the grid there, Rusty, including the 150 points up today and the 17 races remaining, 2,250 points available to the end of the championship, plus 3 Enduro weekends, which are wild by any stretch of the imagination because of the 2-driver scenario and the extreme length of the races. So points at the moment, look, it's nice to accumulate them. Certainly if you're Mark Winterbottom, is starting to look like you could almost be around in front, and if you're Whincup, you're looking like you might be around behind, but it's never that simple. This is wow. What's going on here?
Holdsworth, the 15 of Rick Kelly. That's out of 6 onto the Dick Johnson straight.
I have no explanation for that.
Was it assisted, or was it just that he was in some dirty stuff and that the Ultima got sideways? Back to Scott McLaughlin here, who sits in 12th position, being chased by Michael Caruso.
Now the leaders are in the low 12s at the moment. Mostert last lap 12.2, Lowndes 12.3, Winterbottom 12.2. Just 5 laps remaining. So kind of at the stage of being the walking wounded. Once again, they've all managed to get extreme performance out of these Dunlop soft tyres. The range of the tyre's been impressive after it's cured and recycled.
Just look at the way Michael was applying the throttle there. A couple of stabs at it as he came through turn 2.
He's just waiting for the nose to settle, and look at this up on the outside. James Moffat he's out there in rallycross land, and Jason Bright's making sure that he stays out there on the exit of turn 3. Didn't do anything wrong, but just made sure that it was hard for James. He's having to drive right around the inside at the moment, Bright, so he's having to slow the car up just to keep it on target. He's got his eyes on Jamie Whincup. Jamie Whincup has got his eyes on these 2 blokes behind, and I'll bet you that James Moffat figures that he can blow both of them out of the water.
Meantime, Mostert leading by 5.09 seconds over Lowndes and Winterbottom. They're your top 3.
Good job, good job. Have another go, 4 more.
Someone's got a car that sounds decidedly off song. I heard it earlier.
Whether that's Fabian or
that's actually Todd Kelly.
Is it?
It's car 7, yeah.
He's in the mix there too, between Coulthard and Heimgartner. Kelly is 16th.
Yeah, I don't know whether it's maybe even on 7 cylinders. Whatever it is, it sounds pretty gruesome. Listen to it.
Wood is not for position, all right? Wood is not for position.
What sort of lap speed's he doing at the moment?
No, mate, it's all over. We just lost oil pressure. Sorry. Sorry.
Engine's had it. Okay, so he's had to pull off.
Why me?
We're live there. Apologies for the language, but you can appreciate he's pretty
sorry,
fired
mate.
up.
Sorry, mate. We just lost crankcase pressure then.
This is not the car he's taking to KL this week. He will be taking, we believe, Rick Kelly's car, and Gibson Freight Team standing by here at Queensland Raceway as we get set to take a consortium.
You did a good job.
To the Grand Prix there, the KL City Grand Prix next week.
Underscores just how much pressure these guys are under, and Todd, as a team owner, knows how much this means, even though he's vastly experienced. Courtney, I think, has just gone off the road. Remember, he was in that battle with Garth Tanner as well there at the ragged edge of grip. These guys were at the back end of the race. Todd's come into the weekend with 467 V8 supercar races to his name, and they still mean a lot to him, as you just saw.
Has he rejoined ahead of Will Davison? So this is Fabian Coulthard, and Pye runs wide. Coulthard's 14th, Pye is 15th. Western Star truck entry gets back on. But the timing, look how dirty the dust on the 22, but it looks as though he's managed to hold position, Neil. Yeah, he's held down that 6th spot.
Little detailing job for you at the end of the day there, Rusty, to get down there with the chamois and clean it up.
I did that once at Bathurst.
Did you do a good job?
Not really, no. Wasn't invited back to do it again the following year.
So he's still 6th at the moment, James Courtney, behind Garth Tander. Lost a bunch of metres along the way, but this battle here just continues to rage. Meantime, front of the field, Chaz Mostert just stayed steady now at 4.8 seconds over Craig Lowndes. Craig's done a very, very good job today in the Holden. He's really been the class of the field in that respect, in terms of the vast number of Holden representatives in the field. So he's continued to be impressive at this location. He came into the weekend with 17 podiums, 11 victories. There's the gap, and it's a pretty big one at the moment. It's out to 5.02. A little bit of exit oversteer for Chaz through one. Setting up now on this last lap. Remember I said if this
last lap. Just be careful of turn 3 again.
If this guy can convert the extraordinary number of pole positions he's achieved this year into race wins, look out was the word that I used, because he's going to be a real threat. That raw pace is extraordinary. Well, he's doing that out there right this minute. That's been an absolutely perfect drive this afternoon. Look at him. He's barely got a sweat up. He's relaxed at turn 4, and he's half a lap from home. Bring it home, Rusty.
Just awesome stuff. Remember, he's been the man in qualifying terms, both at this venue and in the season so far. He's picked up 9 podiums to date. This will be his 10th, and Mostert is about to add another one in terms of the victories he's had in 2015. Awesome stuff from the Pepsi Max racer. Mostert wins on Sunday at the Coates Hire Ipswich Supersprint. Craig Lowndes will be hugely encouraged by that 2nd position.
Brilliant, buddy. Brilliant drive. Awesome. That was great. We don't need these tyres anymore, mate, so you can have some fun.
And there are 2...
Good job, boys.
Woo! 2 Pepsi Max entries on the podium. Courtney's under pressure here out of the final turn from Davison, but it's not enough. Courtney will hold that spot. The HRT racers, 5th and 6th. Tander 5th, Courtney 6th. Good recovery.
Cramp in my leg.
Whincup, that drama with that front right. He finishes in 8th position. Started on the 2nd row of the grid. Chaz lights him up here at Queensland Raceway. You used the term at the beginning of the weekend. He's freestyling right now. He's loving it in terms of qualifying. He didn't ask for any changes of the car as the race wore on. And he looked cool as on that final lap on the run home. Look at the top 3 from this race. We've got another super sprint to come, of course, at Sydney Motorsport Park, and then it is all about the Pertec Enduro Cup.
Run through the columns of the weekend for Chaz Mostert from practice 1 to this very moment. He's never been further out than 5th in the lineup of 25 people. And he was 5th yesterday in the first race, and he was 5th in the first practice. Everything else has got a 1, a 3, or a 1 against it in the case of this most recent column. So that's pretty impressive, isn't it?
Massively. And we talked about the starts. I wonder what Frosty will have to say about the starts. You were with him on the grid there, but it was Chaz that did it today.
Frosty put it out there in the universe. I had nothing to do with it.
Another good haul of points for David Reynolds too was, sorry Neil, the point I was going to make. I mean, he's moving into a championship fighting position here, Reynolds, and he's doing everything that is being asked of him. Very solid drive.
Remember that Mostert's had success here before, so to some degree it shouldn't come as a surprise either. He grabbed a win with DJR back in 2013. He's also had success here in Formula Ford and in the Dunlop Series. Front row start previously, coming into this weekend, so he clicks nicely with this place, and he certainly has this weekend. 6th career victory. He came home in the end with a margin of 5.6 seconds, Mostert over Lowndes.
And all at a place where he has great memories. His first ever V8 Supercar Championship win coming here in 2013. Back then he was on loan to Dick Johnson Racing from this team. Mostert is the man on Sunday at Queensland Raceway. Adam De Bore in the sunglasses there. There's Rusty French to the left. There's his dad, Eddie. And I'm told that Eddie's famous red socks are now sponsored. Can you believe it?
They are. I saw them yesterday. And they look pretty clean too.
The lucky socks. That's heartening for Lowndes, isn't it? The pole position yesterday. Good results right across the weekend so far for CL after a difficult Townsville. It didn't go the way he wanted. This has been good at Queensland, heading into Sydney Motorsport Park.
Chaz Mostert, we've spoken about it all weekend, we've spoken about it all year, how important it was for you to get a good start. Congratulations. I don't know what you did last night, but it worked well today. Well done.
Yeah, thank you very much. The boys changed the clutch overnight, so they felt pretty good off the start line. Finally, I got away without hesitating, so it was fantastic. Also had a bit of a flu, so Dad put some onions in my sock last night to try and draw out the flu, and it kind of worked. So maybe more onions in the socks.
I've heard about Vicks in the socks, but I've never heard about onions. It obviously worked. Enjoy the podium celebration.
Thanks very much. Yeah.
I just don't even know what to say about that. Craig Lowndes, outstanding results here at Queensland Raceway. Your 20th podium. It is just an unbelievable record here. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I think that, look, it's the best we could have done this weekend. I think, look, it's a credit to both ProDrive, both Chaz and Frosty. They are still the cars to beat, and of course to our guys, everyone at Red Bull Racing, I think our strategy got us where we were, and of course when we got to second we had a good gap to Frosty. We maintained that, but yeah, we still got a bit of work to do, but I'm really pleased with Shippy. He and Grant and I have been working really hard over the weekend to make the car better, and look, it's proving to be right.
Enjoy the podium celebrations. Congratulations. Mark Winterbottom, 2 race wins yesterday, on the podium again today. The car speed's phenomenal, and you are continuing with that championship hunt.
Yeah, it was a good day. You know, to see Chaz win is awesome as well. So the team still got the win, which is nice. But yeah, my thing wasn't that good from the middle stint onwards. I got a lot of understeer, but you know, it's what it is. You just try and keep battling, and there's a few rattles and vibrations. You hope the tyres are staying on it. So yeah, more good points, another podium, and another team win. It's a good day.
Enjoy the champagne. Well done.
I will do. Thank you.
Well, 2 HRT boys getting it done. Not a bad effort there. It's a good result considering where you started. I've got a little tip for you. If you start further up, you might actually, you know, make it a bit easier for yourselves. Good advice, huh?
You should have taken some of that advice when you were driving.
Oh, there's no need to throw it back.
Yeah, look, we've been saying all along, race pace-wise, we're generally quite strong, but qualifying pace is not where it needs to be. So, yeah, we get through. Our starts are always good. The guys always do a good job with strategy, and pass a few cars along the way. So life would be a bit easier if we could start a bit closer to the front, that's for sure.
JC, good run, mate. You're starting back in 14th. Bit of an issue there towards the end. Had a bit of a moment. What was going on there?
I had flashbacks of Darwin and Winston.
Thought he was lining me up again.
I got a cramp in my calf and I couldn't bend my foot back to get it onto the brake, so I got a bit hairy there. So, yeah, I was grateful that I managed to just pull it up and turn it. But yeah, so look, the car was like GT, nowhere near good enough in qualifying trim, but in the race, you're never really driving it that hard. You're just conserving and managing the thing the whole way through. So it's, I think it was more that we managed the car and looked after and used what we had, and that's probably why the result come. Still a lot of work to do. Good on you, fellas. Cheers.
It's Garth Tander's best result here since 2010, a 5th place finish. So Chaz Mostert claims his 3rd victory of the year, the 6th of his career, and interestingly, it's his first Sunday race win of the 2015 season. The other 2 have come in the Saturday sprints. Nick Percat, not a bad outing for him, qualified in the top 10 and was on course for a result there just outside it in the end in Van Gisbergen. Lots to talk about that ahead of the next round. To the podium, here's Chad Naylon.
It's time for the race 20 podium here at the Coates Hire Ipswich SuperSprint. In first place for the Pepsi Max crew, Chaz Mostert. In second for Red Bull Racing Australia, Craig Lowndes. And third for the Pepsi Max crew, Mark Winterbottom. Representing the winning team is Cameron Stevens from the Pepsi Max crew. With the 3rd place trophy, it's Victor Atwood, the Deputy Mayor of Ipswich. The 2nd place trophy comes from Jody Schmidt, the CEO of TAFE Queensland. With the winning team trophy, Trevor Schwanke, General Manager for TAFE Queensland Southwest. And the winner's trophy comes from Richard Greenwood, Group Manager Products, naming rights sponsor, Coates Hire. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the Coates Hire Ipswich SuperSprint Race 20 podium.
5th straight win for ProDrive Racing Australia. And what a weekend it's been for them here at Queensland Raceway. Blue cars have taken it out. Frosty on the Saturday, Mostert on the Sunday. There's the updated championship standings for you heading into the next event. And I was nervous about that margin before Whincup, but as Neil said, lots of points still up for grabs, and anything can happen, in particular in the Enduros, which are just around the corner. Highlights from the 20th race of the championship. It was an all-blue front row. Looks like from that replay, James Moffat struggled to get off the line, but there was no issues with that new clutch on board. Mostert made a ripper start. Both Garth Tander and James Courtney looked racy early on. Heimgartner wasn't ideally placed in the Super Black Ford and found himself in the thick of battle and losing some spots along the way. Plenty of bump and rub here from Courtney on McLaughlin.
That was a fair old grind, wasn't it? Look at this from the external replay of just how much James was nudging the back of the Volvo. Fabian Coulthard, tough weekend for Freightliner Racing. Quite a few people arriving in the slippery pit lane here and overshooting along the way. James Moffat there. Craig Lowndes with a big moment of understeer there right in the middle of the corner, and I thought he did a great job this weekend in the Holden just to be able to get some kind of a result out there. Not quite getting the fuel coupling on for Jamie Whincup. Unsafe release for Dale Wood. This was a weird one where Fabian Coulthard waved Nick Percat through on the inside and I think got clobbered in the process. Here is Davison sliding down the inside, looking very good. He's come away with a pretty handsome weekend there in a 7th place. Shane Van Gisbergen, man, those guys have just done what they've done, walked under a ladder, bought black cats, whatever. Something's gone wrong there, and it's just been a tough couple of rounds, and all of a sudden he's drifting out of the championship battle.
Davison made some good ground, didn't he? As the race wore on, he was able to move ahead of Jamie Whincup. Poor Jamie. They battled hard, those two guys. It was exciting to watch, but Jamie just out wide and in the marbles at that point. HRT, they salvaged something today. It's been a tough weekend, but they've raced hard, those guys, and finished in the top 6. Feel for Todd Kelly, the Jayco Nissan driver. Why me, he said. Why me?
Yeah, pretty frustrated. You feel for him because he's had a string of DNFs this year. There's Eddie Mostert. fully sponsored socks and all, and away he went. He's grabbed a big pile of points this weekend. Chaz Mostert played himself hard into the game here. He's going to be a big factor in the back end of this championship. Congratulations to him. To everybody in the Pepsi Max crew, great work.